from C13 Features. A new kind of listening experience.
He's back!
Help me!
Get out of there.
It's here.
No, don't let them in.
You can experience Treat, a podcast movie starring Kiernan Shipka, for free on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Grab some popcorn and enjoy the show.
Clear Eyes, Full Hearts is an episode-by-episode inside look at the hit TV show Friday Night Lights. I'm Stacey Oristano, a.k.a. Mindy Collette Riggins.
And I'm Derek Phillips, a.k.a. Billy Riggins.
Join us each week as we rewatch every episode of Friday Night Lights.
We'll answer fan questions.
And we'll chat with some of your favorite cast members.
Clear Eyes, Full Hearts is a podcast presentation of Cadence 13 in association with Black Barrel Media and Ritual Productions. Listen now for free on Odyssey or wherever you get your podcasts.
We got a lot of questions as in regards to baseball and actually now Halloween candy. So with that, we bring in the aforementioned all-star second baseman, former all-star second. He's old now. Brett Boone.
Cleveland, Ohio. It's 9:20 on the Fan. Do you know what that means?
Say my name.
It's time for the Boom.
And the fly ball hits the deep right center field, and that baby is gone! Number 37 for Brett Boone.
It's time for former Major League All-Star, Silver Slugger, and Gold Glover, Brett Boone, with Chico After Dark on 92.3 The Fan.
That's fantastic.
Sure as hell is. Booney joining us. He's not, I take that, he's not that old. Well, yeah, he is, kind of. About the same age. A little older than me. Brett Boone, host of the Brett Boone Podcast, joining us on the North Olmsted Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Hotline. Booney, you got your Halloween costume. You strike me as somebody that would get into Halloween. I don't know why.
I do not get into Halloween. I am the designated candy giver outer guy, and my light shuts off at about 9.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm all for that. Yeah, I'm not a big Halloween guy, and get off my lawn, all that sort of thing. Spencer was just asking. He asked me about candy corn, which I think is
love it.
Oh,
it's in my bowl right now. You know, but I'm kind of a candy freak these days, and I never was. I'm not a big chocolate guy, but I really like the hard sweet tarts. I'm kind of getting into the hot tamales.
You're not a chocolate guy, but you like candy corn? You're un-American. You're un-American.
I'm weird like that. I like the Mike and Ike's, and we just put candy corns out, and I would never be a candy corn guy in my life, but I like to switch up. I got to be honest, Chico.
All right, listen.
They're not bad.
Listen to what Spencer told me before we brought you in. Last segment, we did our little fair or foul segment. Candy corn has come out with it's like a variety pack, but it's a variety pack of flavors for like gravy flavor, turkey flavor, cranberries. Only candy corn would do that because they're so terrible. In my opinion.
I'm not gonna. I'm not going to go to the turkey flavored or anything like that. I just like original candy corn. I got to say I'm a fan.
All right. Let's talk a little baseball. Brett Boone, host of the Brett Boone Podcast. And for the sake of, I don't want to sound like, they back in the day. But starting pitching, we even touched on this a little bit last week. Starting pitching seems to be like less and less relevant. And even in the postseason, I don't like the idea. I'm curious what you think here, Booney. I don't like the idea of Max Scherzer on short rest coming back and pitching in relief. If it's Game 7 and it's all hands on deck, I get it. But we saw it with Uvalde last night. Your take on are they devalued the starting pitchers in Major League Baseball?
I don't like it at all, and especially with the Dodgers. You're better than pretty much. Well, you're better than every team you play. And I roll out my starting 3 for the Dodgers right now: Scherzer, Urias, and Buehler. I think they're better than anybody they go up against in the postseason. So I think you play to your strength. I think the Dodgers are the best team in the postseason. But I think by going around that, going against what baseball's always done, 9 out of 10 World Series champions are the best. The best starting rotation is usually the world champion, and I'm all for the. There's a lot of money now put into the bullpens, and there's a lot of equity out there. I get that the game is changing, but it still comes down to the best starting pitching, and they haven't done that. They've opened with Nebler twice. They bring in Urias the other day late in the game. He gives it up, and I've just been watching early on in this Dodger Brave game right now, and he doesn't look right. His fastball's off. It's off a tick. His breaking ball's not as sharp. You can tell it's not the Urias that just won 20 games. So maybe it's having at his age, he hasn't done this, gone back and forth. It's easy to sit here, when you're not in that dugout managing, and you don't have the people upstairs in your ear. Who knows what goes on behind the scenes of each individual franchise? But I don't know. I have a lot of questions for the Dodgers right now. Why is Lux playing center field? You've got some Gold Glove caliber outfielders, and center field is a pretty important position, being the captain of that outfield. And Gavin Lux, I think he's got 10 games in center field in his career,
and he had an ugly air yesterday. Yeah, yep,
ugly air. But I'll tell you, I just watched a little jam shot fall in front of him, and it's a can of corn. It's the quality center fielder makes that play easy. But Gavin not being out there kind of pulled up on it, and it's not his fault. He hasn't been out there enough. But that's one run right there. That may be the difference in tonight's game. So it's been tough to watch for me because I know that the Dodgers are the best team in the postseason, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't. And again, kind of more to your point there, it's not about being anti-bullpen for me. It's because look, Terry Francona here in Cleveland in 2016, it was those high leverage situations and the trade of Andrew Miller and what that. But I think that should be more in case of emergency. And the starters are still, that year they were all banged up.
Chico, you know what a reliever is in the big leagues? It's a reliever that's not good. It's a starter that's not good enough to break the rotation. That's the way it's always been, always will be. Now I understand the specialty roles in the game in the Major League Baseball version 2021. There's a specialty role. There's guys throwing really hard and have roles, the 7th, 8th, 9th inning. I get that. There are phenomenal bullpen guys out there, but the starters are the cream of the crop. There's a reason starters get paid the most. The reason starters are starters. And there's a reason when you think, well, you don't see too many bullpen guys go, oh, let's make them a starter. But you see everybody start out as a starter, and they make them relievers, So, that answers the question right there for me.
All right, he's Brett Boone, former All-Star second baseman. He's the host of the Brett Boone podcast, which I really encourage you to check out. We'll get to that more here in just a moment. All right, I guess I'm going to continue. I feel like we're on an old man get off my lawn theme, so I'm going to continue with that. And you don't have to agree with me on this, but I think I know what your opinion is going to be. So we talked a lot during the regular season when you joined me here on Chico After Dark, talking about the approach hitters have, and it is what it is. You don't like it, but it is what it is. I guess what I want to ask you is, as I look at the postseason, for instance, like the Dodgers, Trey Turner, Justin Turner haven't done anything, and I'm not necessarily saying their approach is wrong, but do you think what we talked about in terms of approaches during the regular season, can you just up and say, all right, hey, it's the postseason now, I'm going to have a different approach to the plate? Or is what you did or what you were as a hitter in the regular season, does that just carry over and that's just who you are?
Without a doubt, that's who you are. And let me clarify on the approach. There are the great hitters. They're still the great hitters of the game today are still as good as any great hitters of past generations. I watch a J.D. Martinez type of player, a Devers, a Juan Soto, a Tatis, an Acuna, a Freddie Freeman. These are still elite hitters. My point was down to everybody else. The approach is not what I think it should be. It results in what is really held in as a high value in today's game, and it creates power. But winning baseball is an approach to moving runners, hitting that sac fly when you need a sac fly. If you got 2 strikes and the infield's back and there's a runner on third, find a way to hit an 8-hopper to the shortstop and get that runner in. It's the approach of playing the game correctly. I don't see it throughout the lineup the way I have in past generations. The skill level is just as high as any skill level in the history of this game. The physicality is more so, I think, even than 10, 15 years ago. I think the physical ability of these players, they're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, their bat speeds more than it was in past generations. But I just think the overall approach, and it's not necessarily their fault. They're taught what to value now is the walk, the home run. Well, everybody's not a home run hitter. And I don't care how much you preach, hit the home run. If you're not a home run hitter, you're never going to be a home run hitter. You don't turn people into that. You take what you have. You can always improve on your power. But if you take Omar Vizquel from past generations, just as an example, we could teach him every launch angle in the world, do this, do that. He's going to hit 12 home runs. And that's the way it is. And on a normal season, he's going to hit 7 because that's what he is, and that's not his skill set. So I don't know. I have a lot of problems with a lot of things. I have a lot of nice things to say about a lot of the improvements I see in the game. But yeah, right now, unless you're an elite hitter, I just don't see the approach. Each and every at bat, we go with a plan. We have a full plan, depending on the score, who's in the game, who's hitting in front of you, who's hitting behind you. All these variables go into your plan when you get to that. When you leave the on-deck circle, you've got a plan and you don't waver. That's how you're successful over 162 in the postseason. Now, I know that's a lot right there, but I'll also capitalize on your question with the Trey Turners, an MVP candidate this year. The other Turner, Justin Turner at third base. Sometimes there's guys in that lineup where in the other clubhouse, we have those meetings say, don't let this guy beat you, this guy beat you. There's going to be guys like Turner who are going to be pitched extra tough. Justin Turner's been a kind of a big game guy and kind of the leader of that Dodgers team for a lot of years. They're going to pitch him a little bit different than they pitch that 7-8 hole hitter. So there's no rhyme or reason to that. Baseball's hard, hitting's really hard, and they're just in a rough spot right now. If the Dodgers can go on and go to the World Series and Trey Turner won the MVP in the World Series, wouldn't surprise me one bit. He's just in a funk right now.
Who, we got 4 teams left, obviously. Who's most exciting, not team, but just one player that you want to see continue into the postseason and the World Series just because you love watching him play?
I'll tell you, I've watched this guy for years, and I didn't know how decent of a player he was. I always knew he was very serviceable. But I'm watching Kike for the or Kike.
Kike Hernandez.
I'm telling you, for the Red Sox, it's really cool watching him. He goes from a kind of a do-it-all guy in Dodgerland and playing 2-3 days a week to getting the call on a daily basis. And wow, is he taking advantage? He's been really fun to watch. That whole Red Sox lineup to me is fun to watch. From Schwarber to Devers. Devers, one of the best players in the game. Verdugo, every time I watch him, he gets a hit. Bogarts is just a premium shortstop, and JD Martinez. He's the guy in the middle of that lineup that makes that club go. You can tell he's had some influence. You get a guy like Hunter Renfroe, comes over from the San Diego Padres, kind of off the scrap heap, and he has a big time year. I see some of his mannerisms at the plate are resembling JD Martinez. Don't think he hasn't had a huge impact on him. I really like that lineup. That being said, I love watching the Astros lineup just as much. I think they're the 2 best offensive teams in the game, and they're playing each other right now. It's a real even matchup. The only reason I gave, and now I don't give it to, because now it's 3-2 Astros, I gave the advantage to the Red Sox because of the Eovaldi sale, and the Astros can't counter that because McCullers is out for this series. But the Astros are looking pretty good now. It's 3-2, so anything could happen.
Okay, so before we get to what's coming up next on the Boone podcast, the Brett Boone podcast, so we were also talking in our last segment, Laz Diaz. I really wasn't my intention to make this.
You gonna get me in trouble?
No, not at all. I'll get myself in trouble, and if you want to join me, well, misery loves company. You know that. But here's my thing that I said to Spencer when we were talking about this with Laz Diaz is that, okay, look, you have bad umpires. And that's just the nature of the beast. This isn't about me just, ripping on one guy. And I know you've always said you had a good relationship with Joe West or whether it be Angel Hernandez. But why in God's name, Booney, does Major League Baseball reward bad umpires with opportunities in the postseason? Like, it seems to be the only sport. The NFL, you have to earn your way into the postseason in a big game. But in baseball, it's like, oh, well, you've umpired for 30 years? Now, never mind the fact that they may have been terrible for 18 of those 30 years. Why does baseball do that? I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And Angel and Lads and I got along fine with it. They're not on the better side of the ledger when it comes to umpires. As umpires, it's twofold. All you want as a hitter and as a pitcher is for an umpire the human element is so a part of it. I think the big problem we have nowadays and why it's so critiqued and so widely critiqued is because anybody can be a critic. You throw that electronic box up on the screen, and if that ball so much as nicks that line, your average fan out there, see, it was a strike. Well, it really isn't, because a two-seamer that's coming into me as a righty or a cutter that's going away or a left-handed curveball, it sometimes goes around the strike zone, but on that computer box on the screen, you're going to see it touch it. So the fan's going to go, oh, it was a strike. What's going on here? Umpires don't come to the big leagues and have a box in front of them when they're practicing. They establish their strike zone. That's why it's the human element. What we ask as hitters is in our first at bat or early in the game, establish your strike zone. So if that might be today, I'm getting an inch off the plate on the outside corners being called a strike. Well, at least I know that, and I'm probably going to get an inch on the inside corner. My brain can calculate that when I'm in the box, so I know what I'm in for. I know with two strikes, if it's close in the outside corner, I better at least foul that off. I can live with that because that's consistency, and that's what he's establishing as his strike zone. I don't think you can just put that computer box up for Altuve and then use that same computer box for Aaron Judge.
I don't want robots. I just want the best human umpires in the postseason.
No, I agree with you. And I see Angel Hernandez year in and year out. I have nothing against Angel Hernandez. Yeah. I played in an era where he was behind the plate a lot of times, and I'll say it right here with the majority of the people out there. He's a horrible umpire. He's bad. He's inconsistent. I think he tries hard, but my grandma could try, as we used to say. This is the big leagues, and you need to be elite. And Angel just never has been and never will be elite. To see him in the postseason, and it's nothing personal, is not the best that Major League Baseball has to offer.
Yeah, that's 100% my point. All right, in closing, here we got the Brett Boone podcast. Which if you have not downloaded it, I don't know what you're waiting for. And I mean this, like, you hear Booney break down baseball, and obviously he can do it with the best of them. But the podcast is a little different. Yeah, they'll talk some baseball, but he's had Brad Johnson on, his old buddy Randy Myers. He's got NBA GMs coming on. Who do you have on tap here coming up, Booney?
We got Pat Williams, who's really, and he's just an extraordinary guy. He's been in the NBA 50-some years, drafted Shaq, Penny Hardaway early years. He's the one that brought the Orlando Magic. He was the GM of the Sixers for a lot of years. And he's got 18 children, and he's amazing. He's written 112 books, really interesting.
18 natural, like they're all his children?
No. He has, 4 natural kids, and he's adopted 14. I asked him,
that's awesome.
How do you guys go to McDonald's? He said, we got a bus. It's a long order, but I mean, fascinating guy. Really good dude. I had him. We just had Pat Burrell, one of the funniest podcasts that I've done recently, and I'm looking forward to. Who do I got? Help me, Chico. We got Buck Showalter and Jim Palmer coming up. So those are the 4 that we have on deck, and haven't done the Buck or the Jim, but they're in the pipeline right now. They're booked, so they'll be next. But this Pat Burrell one coming out is really, I think, if you're a fan of Pat the Bat, you'll like this. He's got a great personality. He's a lot of fun, and we had a great talk.
Did you used to have posters of Jim Palmer and his jockey underwear ads on your wall?
Oh, believe me, that's going to be one of the first questions.
Booney, you're the best. Check him out, the Brett Boone podcast. Always fun. We'll do it again next week. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Chico.
Hi, I'm John Favreau, host of Crooked Media's new weekly series, Offline with John Favreau. If you feel like the internet is breaking our brains, but you still can't put the phone down, this show might help. Each week, I'll be talking to people like Monica Lewinsky, Megan Rapinoe, Peter Hamby, and DeRay McKesson about all the ways our extremely online existence is shaping politics, media, entertainment, sports, business, and more. New episodes of Offline with John Favreau drop every Sunday on the Pod Save America feed. Listen on Odyssey or wherever you get your podcasts.
Man, there are a lot of podcasts out there.
Definitely. I mean, there's 3 million shows, 50 million episodes, and more every day.
I mean, who has the time to figure out which ones are the best podcasts?
We do. That's who. What's up, guys? I am Alicia Renee.
And I'm Dax Holt.
And we are your hosts of Pod Sauce, a podcast discovery show.
Look at us as your podcast concierge.
We do all the work for you. We listen to the shows, review them,
pick the best episodes, and interview the hosts.
Pod Sauce. Let us help you find your next binge. Tell them where to go, Dax.
Go to podsauce.com.
If you had some extra money right now, what would you spend it on? Would you treat yourself to something now? Or put it towards something special? Treat yourself with the savings you'll get from participating in the People's Gas Energy Efficiency Program. Our rebates help your dollars go further so you can spend more on the things you enjoy. Visit peoplesgasrebates.com/treat and learn how much you can save with the People's Gas Energy Efficiency Program. That's peoplesgasrebates.com/treat.